Morning, everybody. I wanted to share with you guys my personal journey in being a Christian believer. This is a very um, this is gonna be a very touching YouTube video. I normally don't do a lot of YouTube videos like this, but I want to share with you guys my personal journey of faith, my walk with God, and why I became such a strong believer in faith. And this is going to be a testimony to all. That's why I feel like sharing this with a lot of different people. And I'm making this viral because, like I always say, it's important to share your walk, your personal life with God. It's in. And a lot of times we fail to realize how important God is. We forget the most important person in our lives, and number one is God. And so that's why I wanted to make this video, because I think there's a lot of different situations in our lives where we fall and we fail to realize, who is important in our lives. For me, growing up in a Catholic household, I was raised as a person who I grew up in the Catholic household. I grew up in a very, you know, uh, my dad was Catholic. My mom was raised as a Buddhist. Grew in she converted into Catholicism, and that happened years ago. So, and as I grew in my walk with the Lord, I was in Louisiana. I remember growing up, and I just remember telling myself that Catholicism, for a lot of people, people who are Catholic tend to be more conservative. And for me, I really wasn't happy with being Catholic. Catholic people have a different way of approaching life and their rituals and their the practices and everything like that. And so as I grew older and I started talking to my friend Jay years ago, I remember the first time I told him about my story, about why I was like in the darkest part of my life, and I was going through a lot of depression. I was searching for all kinds of answers about God and why God wasn't like really working in my life, because I remember sitting there talking to Jay, and I was like, man, God wasn't really answering my prayers like I wanted him to. I was sitting there questioning God, like, why am I feeling down? Like, why am I feeling down about my life? And I remember thinking to myself and going and praying and telling, just going to the cross and thinking and praying to God that God come and help me through this situation in my life, because I remember I was going and I was searching all different types of faiths. I was going to a Pentecostal church. I was going to, all different types of churches at that time. I was actually, I was going around different churches. I remember finding First Baptist of Avondale. That was the first church that I ever came across that I could actually feel the presence of God as a fellowship of believers in Christ. And then I told myself, I was like, hey, why not join this church? And I joined that church for 2 years. Up until that time, I was like, hey, Pastor Mark, this is a church. I want to be a part of this congregation because this is a family of believers. And I had told myself in all the decades of years that I was going to a Catholic church, I wasn't happy being myself. And God calls you to doing certain things in your life. And, at that particular time, I remember having all my friends come up to me and tell me, well, at the church, I was just like in awe with the whole like family life of a Christian believer, because when I when I turned Baptist, I realized to myself that God was calling me to serving in the church. And I remember telling myself, I was like, God, whatever you have me doing in my life, help me to getting to where I need to be and reconciling with my heart's desires of what God was calling me to do. Because God was the only person in my life that was supporting me all through my journey of life. And the whole idea is this, people. When you walk by faith and less by sight, when you walk in the glory of God and you understand the purpose of your life, God is willingly to answer exceedingly and abundantly. And sometimes, as a Christian believer, we fail to recognize what is important in our lives because we see what we want to see, but we don't do what God is telling us to do. And so, I always tell my friends, you have to practice your faith every single day. Practicing and some people practice in being the Word of God. Some people practice in, fellowship with one another as Christian believers. Some people practice faith by just, going to church every single day. And, and honestly, throughout all the years of me coming and just talking to different pastors, I started recognizing what was important, what I valued in my life, and what I needed coming in forth in my life. Because the whole idea is that when you really practice your faith, when you truly, truly practice your faith, there are going to be times of darkness and despair, but God will come and He will come forth in helping you in your heart's desires. Whatever you ask, you shall receive. And I truly believe in that whole everyday type of thing. I posted this on my Facebook post, and I feel like a lot of times why people fail in being a sinner is because we are lustful for the temptation of the things that's surrounding us, and we follow what other people are doing in our lives, and not understanding the principles of what God is teaching us is that being able to be in a community, being able to share one another what it really means to being a good Christian believer, and so it is not about the religion to me. It's more about the relationship that you have built in with God. Because when you are able to have that relationship with your God and your only God, ain't nobody gonna be able to withstand or withhold whatever you got going on in your life, because God is all knowing. He's all knowing. He's all knowing more than anybody in the world could ever be. So, question of today is, where is your faith with God? And why are you leading? Why are you leading and practicing your faith? Why are you doing the things that you are doing? Are you really, ultimately, are you serving the right kind of God? Are you serving the right kinds of people in your life? And are you tempted by what's going on around you, surrounding your distractions in your life? We all fail everybody fails doing something. But, the whole idea is once you have your faith with God, ain't nothing going to be able to withstand or withhold you. All those things are strongholds, and we all have them. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video every single day. It's the glory of God. I always say glory be to God. And you guys have a blessed Tuesday morning, afternoon, and evening, guys. You guys take care now. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video.